No, I'm over the moon. I'm happy that the ANC has been shown that they can't fight the MK. We are unstoppable. Whether they like it or not, they must just forget it. We have won with cost, which is what we've been looking for even before. It didn't happen, but this time we got it. And they must pay. So they can appeal, no matter how many times they want to appeal, but we'll still win it. Because they've got no facts. They were just trying. They were trying to disturb us for our good cause to win the elections. No, the president is busy somewhere. We've got so many programs that he's running. That's why he's not here. But those reports will always be there. People want to see the MK cracked. It will never crack. We've got our leadership strong as ever. We've got all our leaderships in different areas. They're still strong. Issues will come, but we are managing. There is nothing that we cannot manage.
By the Durban High Court of a judgment that was handed down not in favor of the African National Congress on the matter of the prayers that we had advanced to defend the legacy of the ANC, the heritage of the ANC, the MK. This afternoon, we want to place matters in context and to outline our next steps in as far as that is concerned. The Secretary General, Comrade FIKILE MBALULA, is going to speak to you, members of the media. Over to you, SG.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media and South Africans. The African National Congress intends to appeal the judgment of the High Court of South Africa in Durban. The ANC will be appealing the matter to stop and prohibit the unlawful use of the ANC's trademark, symbols and heritage by Mr. Zuma's party, currently referring to itself as the Umkhonto weSizwe Party. In the application considered by the Durban High Court, we relied on Section 34(1)(a) and (c) of the Trademarks Act 194 of 1993 Act to show that the Zuma Party is misrepresenting itself as being connected or associated with the ANC by using our well-known logo on its well-known name, Umkhonto weSizwe. In appealing the judgment, the ANC will center the question of whether the unauthorized use of one's intellectual property is consistent on what and how the unauthorized party uses the property for. Furthermore, we believe that the goodwill associated with the Umkhonto weSizwe is that of the ANC. It is this goodwill that Zuma's party is attempting to unduly appropriate unto itself. The ANC reiterates that it is committed to respecting the laws of the country for free and fair elections in line with the Electoral Code. As an organization that values all the different facets of democracy, we are not opposed to the Zuma party's presence on the ballot. However, in bringing this case, the ANC is defending its intellectual property, the legacy of the liberation struggle for future generations. We have said it over and over again. Should Mr. Zuma establish the party, name it after any other thing and so on, without appropriating to himself the assets of the African National Congress, will have nothing to do with that. We are not hindered or against any formation in our country. We have had many organizations that have been formed by members of the ANC who left the party. Mr. Zuma is not the first to leave the ANC and form an organization. Future generations must know that this democracy stands on the shoulders of men and women who joined Umkhonto weSizwe, the spear of the nation, at the time when being associated with the ANC was virtually a death sentence. The ANC was and is to this day the heart and soul of Umkhonto weSizwe. We strongly believe an appeal is duly warranted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, SG. At this point, I'm going to call on members of the media who wish to field and who wish to pose questions. SABC, please let's identify ourselves.
Kenny Makana from SABC News. Mr. MBALULA, I would like to ask about some of the points that the judgment does make. First, it does state that you approached the wrong forum, that is located in High Court, and rather saw it fit that you approached the electoral court. By going on an appeal, you essentially have to appeal before the first instance, which is the High Court, and that is essentially the court has already ruled on the merits that it found that this was the incorrect forum to explore this option. And of course, on the lack of urgency, the court does make a finding against you as the SG, saying that your assertions about the urgency of the application run counter to the delay by the ANC actually bringing the application to the High Court itself. So what are your thoughts on that? Then of course, the bigger impact that this has on elections. You've emphasized the constitutional rights of all in terms of ensuring risk-free and fair elections. So essentially what you're doing with this court application would mean that this political party would have to do a complete rebrand ahead of those May polls. That is just a few weeks that we have left. Does that not disenfranchise voters or citizens who want to vote for this political party? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to look for other hands. To my right, any? We don't have. Okay, I will move to the left. I see Junior.
Thank you so much, Junior Commander from Newsroom Africa. Just to emphasize on the question that has been asked by my colleague, what was the reason in terms of approaching the High Court and not going to the Electoral Court? Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is News 24.
News 24. This is it's not the first time the ANC is losing in these elections matches with the MK. Are you not concerned that you're giving the MK party mileage as opposed to you guys? And also, it also seems like the ANC is not attending basic things. Can you please speak to that in terms of your legal team? Are you happy with what's happening?
What are basic things that are not attended to?
Things like the court matter, taking it to the wrong court. I think that's basic, Mr. MBALULA.
Thank you. Do we have any other hands? Okay, SG, we'll take this. This is the first round of hands. We're more than happy to continue with this conversation for the second round.
Thank you very much. Matters of trademarks are dealt with in the High Court. We went to the Electoral Court and challenged the deregistration of Umkhonto weSizwe, and it was dismissed on the basis that, on technicality, that we did not oppose the matter at the inception of the registration of the party, a matter we intend to contest, but we chose not to. We could have appealed that decision which in itself is appealable, but we chose not to for political reasons. That one, it was going to say that we play into the gallery and we delay the processes and all of that. In the best interest of democracy and all of that, we allowed that to pass. Trademark is a different case altogether. It's about legacy, which we will challenge to the highest court of the land. And there will be no retreat on that. I did explain to you when we were in Durban, when I had the line of questioning of the judge, which I think the judge have chosen an easy way out and not address the matter at point that they were actually dealing with in terms of that particular court. He simply said that this matter does not belong here, it belongs to the electoral court, which was supposed to be there. That is something that is not a fact. It is a matter that we will challenge in terms of the appeal. And we don't intend to argue with the judge otherwise, but to take the matter further in terms of the trademark issue that we're talking about. Because the judge was asking a question to our people to say that, to our legal team, to say that what's going to happen to the paraphernalia that is already there. If you fake Coca-Cola, and then you are not the registered trademark and you go and produce a lot of Coca-Cola and you call it Cola Coke, like the Pakistanis will do here. And then who's the blame to be on in terms of the trademark issue? It is not on Coca-Cola. You've got to take the blame because you produced mass knowing very well that that product does not belong to you. Two, we are not comparing two logos, the ANC flag and MK. We are challenging the trademark that has been ceded to the ANC. It's ours. The judge does not compare the logos, does not address that issue. He addresses issues that were not ventilated in court. That's what he has done in terms of the judgment that he has given to you. Go and check. And those who are in court as well, go and check that. Instead, he agrees with our opponents that they made a cogent case about the fact that we wasted the time of court and the matter does not actually belong there. On the basis of that, punitive measures are actually granted to us. We will appeal all of those in terms of the court above, and we appreciate the fact that in the judgment, the issue that you are addressing, he has granted us the right to appeal. That's what he has done. So if you read the judgment and you understand, you say, are we going to appeal to the same court? We will decide, but he has granted us the right to appeal already. Meaning, I no longer want to deal with this matter, go and see for yourself somewhere else. You know, I'm out of this, and so on. So the issue of the trademark and Umkhonto weSizwe goes beyond an election to us. The issue of the election and Umkhonto party of Jacob Zuma contesting, we left that issue in Mangaung. Even though we believed that we still had a strong case, we left it there. So Jacob Zuma and his party are on the ballot. So the issue that we contesting Mr. Zuma, we cannot contest a person who has made up his mind about where he wants to go to. He wants to form a party. He wants to bring the ANC below 50% for whatever political reasons. He has outlined that when he launched the party on the 16th of December. So we're very clear. How do you stand against a person who has made up his mind? Again, as the ANC, we have to deal with the question of a person who says, I'm a member of the ANC and at the same time I'm pursuing this. Those issues are before us. The ANC has not called a special meeting of the NEC to reconsider its own decision because Zuma now has registered the party. He has moved many steps since the time we suspended him. As an organization, he has moved many steps. He has formed a party, he's now a leader. When we suspended him, he was just a supporter, not even a leader. The leader was Kumalo. Now he's a leader. And he has stood and is in the ballot against the ANC. And he campaigns, not decampaign, he campaigned effectively against the ANC. So the ANC, when it convenes an urgent meeting and decide to expel Zuma, you are going to say we are promoting him. How do you promote something that lives out there and at the same time has made up its mind about why it exists? It exists on distortions. To an extent that those distortions become a fact and are celebrated by the people, you've got to correct them. And there are many of such. It's not a campaigning issue. It's an issue that you've got to, of course, tactically, on the ground, you've got a choice to entertain those or not to entertain that. And whether or not that makes an impact, it will be seen on the day of the outcome of the election. But the ANC machinery has not been swayed. I see you talk about a tsunami, I don't know where. Not you, but some other people, but I know what is a tsunami. COPE was big. UDM, when it started, it was big. You know, I'm talking about people who were expelled from the ANC and others who went to work. I've not seen MK where it then becomes a tsunami and all of that. There are many activities that were supposed to take place outside KwaZulu-Natal that have failed of this party, but you continue to characterize it as if it's a threat to the ANC and that we are challenging a threat and we are promoting it. You give Mr. Zuma an airtime, including people we don't know, and his mandate has not been tested in terms of the vote of the people. You give him a mileage more than established political parties in South Africa and cover him live simply because he was former president and is a breakaway to the ANC and his vote is going to hurt the ANC. That can only be the reason. Where has this majority of Zuma been tested? We have not raised any view against that. We contest the election on the ground. We contested the election on the ground, and we are very clear that the election is not contested on paper. It's contested by talking to the people. It's not a given. And we talk to our people door to door. I was in Northwest. I came back last night. I didn't see anybody in the door to door asking me about Zuma. He's got his people on the ground who are doing his work, but nobody in the door-to-door asked me about Zuma. The people in state in their houses, they said, we will vote, but we've got the following things. And we're still committed to the African National Congress. And this is a fact I'm giving you. And the same as other colleagues and leaders have encountered the same. What we are dealing with here, it's a disruption. And it's a deliberate ploy, it's an agenda, it's an operation. And including the fact of buying time, because you know when you throw a dice, you can get a pop in that dice when you throw it. So they are throwing a last dice. And they hope that they'll come up with a pop that will bring the ANC down, and then they can do whatever that they want to do. That's what they're doing. And you are telling us that we must not challenge what is right and all of that. It is not possible. We will appeal this particular decision and so on. As to whether these have got a bigger impact on the election, we'll see on the 29th. But I can tell you that the ANC campaign is unstoppable as we speak. And being unstoppable, we are not deterred by anything of this sort. In fact, they are the beneficiaries themselves, because they know every time we appear in court with them on these matters, they then have got a limelight. And when they get a little win, easy victory like this, then they balloon it into higher proportions as though it is something big. There's nothing big out of this. We'll challenge it in court to the highest court of the land. We'll argue the facts, and the facts are there. It is appealable, and then we're arguing the issue of the trademark, not the politics that the judge is talking about. Judge is not a politician. He must get out of the politics. We have given him the facts. He should have dismissed us that you don't have an authority over this MK. These things are not the same. We are not arguing MK versus ANC. We're saying MK is ours. Here is the trademark. He doesn't refer to that in the judgment. Nothing about that. It's just politics. In that littered with politics and all of that. That was not our issue. So that is why when the question was posed to our lawyers, we were all perplexed. And the line of questioning, what was this? You see, because the line of questioning basically was saying something else. But those matters will be ventilated in court. We will appeal. He has granted us the right to appeal. The question of it is a wrong forum, where do you contest issues of trademark? In the court of the land. This party was registered in Durban. That's why we went to Durban High Court. Was registered there. Right? The address, domicile, Sitandi is there. We went there. Now, we can't go to the electoral court and argue issues of trademark. We went to the electoral court to argue issues of deregistration. And we did not challenge Mr. Zuma standing as a candidate. A complaint was raised about him, and the IEC upheld that. The matter went to the electoral court. They lost, and they've appealed that matter to the constitutional court. So when you count Zuma's victories, don't include us in that victory of his about the electoral court in relation to his standing as a candidate. We did not join, we were not party to it. It was raised, and it's still standing in the courts of the land, whether or not remission is equal to as expunging the criminal record of a person. Those are the matters that have been argued in court. Two things the ANC is standing on: deregistration, we went to court, and then the court ruled against us. And then we went to court, we initiated the trademark issue, and the court have ruled against us and will appeal. That's the second. So the first one we did not appeal. So let's not get there, that we are promoting people and all of that. If we were promoting them, we would have appealed that decision in Bloemfontein by now. We did not. And we think it is appealable, but we don't, because we don't want to delay the election. The judge there in Durban asked our legal team, as though it's our obligation, what should happen if he ruled in our favor? We said what we need is that they must change the name, because it doesn't belong to them. It's ours. Zuma can call his party Zuma come back, whatever you call it. Zuma come back ZCB, you know, whatever he calls it. We are not there. We will not be contesting that particular point. This is the legacy. We've got the authority over it, and we will contest it in court. And then newsroom, I've answered the question of High Court and Electoral Court, the distinction between the two. We've answered that. Are we giving MK party mileage? We're not giving mileage. When Zuma started the campaign to disrupt the ANC, to divide the ANC had to stand up and defend itself. And I think till this far the ANC have stood solid. The ANC is solid. The people who have left in the ANC are well-known culprits who were in any way on their way out. They were disgruntled. They called themselves RT forces. They have left with Zuma. ANC members and leaders are still with the ANC. Everyone who have announced that they've gone with Zuma, I can mention them one by one. Mervyn Dix, a well-known rebel in parliament, he left with Zuma. He's in his party there. Who's new? That fellow there who speaks a lot and threatening the election and all of that is a well-known dubious character. You can go and Google him, check him out. He's well-known in the politics of this country. You can name them one by one in the different provinces. It's only that Kalni House has gone. I think he regrets that he jumped quicker to Malema. He would have loved to be with MK. That is the group. Ace has lost and is out of contention according to the statutes. I heard last week he jumped to that side. Tell me who's new you don't know in that party, who was in the ANC and they've left. They've not been even campaigning for the ANC, the people who are with Zuma as we speak, starting with Zuma himself. Zuma has long left the ANC when he was defeated in Nazareth. He left. He came there as a rebel, as a branch member, and then he was defeated there. The president was re-elected and all of that. Now, we must accept that somebody says there's an ANC of Ramaphosa. When he was a leader of the ANC, was the ANC of Zuma. It was never an ANC of Zuma. He was just his privilege to lead at the time that he led. And then Ramaphosa leads now. There's no Ramaphosa's ANC. He's privileged to lead now. There will be another president of the ANC. The same as there was Mbeki, there was Mandela. That's what happens. The distortions that are happening and the opportunism that is happening around this MK party are very much laughable, some of them. And they need to be thwarted. But over and above that, that is not our over-concentration in this particular party. So we're not giving any mileage. We're challenging what it is right. I've seen somebody saying that when COPE was formed, ANC doesn't learn. We lost that case of COPE because we did not have a registered trademark of Congress of the People. And they went to court and said it doesn't belong to the ANC. And we lost. But we knew that they too were taking a chance. Because when they called themselves Congress of the People, they were coming close to the ANC and wanted to garner votes, get back door. And that's what they were trying to do. We challenged them. We challenged them on the ground. They challenged